Airports the world over are almost all alike. The same spaciousness, the same wind, the same clockwork precision, the same air of expectancy. Of course, each also has a little something of its own. The sky, the landscape, the people. This airport is Lud, Israel. These two have come to welcome an important visitor. The little fellow is David. He's quite a personality. He is the champion of Tel Aviv. Not a heavyweight nor a flyweight. He is the blue box champ, the winner of a JNF contest. He is accompanied by Amron of the Jewish National Fund headquarters in Jerusalem. David has donned his Shabbat best. No wonder. Together with Amron, he is going to meet a queen. Not a queen with a crown, but a blue box queen, the winner of a JNF contest abroad.
הקשיבו, אל על מודיע על נחיתת טיסה מספר 208 מניו יורק, לונדון, פריז ורומא. Attention please. El Al Israel Airlines announces the arrival of its flight number 208 from New York, London, Paris and Rome.
I hope nobody notices how excited I am after making such a long journey alone. And imagine being in Israel. Ever since I won that prize, a 2-week trip to Israel, I've been dreaming of this moment when I would take my first step on the soil of our homeland. And here I am. My picture, too? I seem to be a celebrity. Mom and Dad will be thrilled when they sit at breakfast and open up the morning paper. I can imagine Mom crying out, "If it isn't our Hannah." Or on a Thursday when they go to the movies, they may suddenly see me in the newsreels. The first stop is Tel Aviv. It's quite a lively city. Having worked hard for the Jewish National Fund gives you a sort of feeling of partnership. You imagine all that has been accomplished is due to your work, too. In a small way, of course. Here's where David gets out. He makes a date for tomorrow. He insists on showing me how he earned his Blue Box championship. Journey's end, for the time being, that is. Hotels always frighten me a little. I mean, they look so stately and dignified. But if I want to be a grown-up traveler, I'd better get used to it. How nice to find, after all, one acquaintance. Glad to know you, I would almost have said. It's pleasant to meet a familiar face. There's something special about walking through a strange city for the first time, taking in its atmosphere. I'm glad I can say shalom to Tel Aviv in my own way. Well, well, my good friend, the Blue Box. That's just as refreshing as a cold drink. At the travel agency, I want to check up on my reservation for the return trip. One of the first things an experienced traveler does is to take good care of her passport and tickets and make sure about space on her scheduled flight. Have you lost something, the clerk asks me. I can't possibly tell her that I'm looking for a blue box. I wouldn't mind walking on and on, but I have to meet David. People direct me to the place I am looking for. This should be the spot where we are to meet. No, that can't be true. David's shining shoes in the middle of Tel Aviv.
With a few simple tools and lots of elbow grease, David brightened many a shoe and filled his blue box. Hannah made herself comfortable on the seat of honor, and David began to tell her the story of his JNF victory. Shining shoes was a good method, but it was not enough to crown him champ. There are more tricks to the trade. And David knows them all. He tells Hannah how much he enjoys Tag Day, especially when he has a charming young teammate. Nobody can resist his friendly persuasion. And once David buttonholes you, your resistance collapses and you redeem yourself with a blue box contribution. Hannah is familiar with this method, but that is one way in which she herself had become queen. David then told Hannah about Operation Shopping Bag. Not that Sabras are more polite than any other youngsters, but David has a clear objective in mind. The ladies, after overcoming their surprise, don't mind the fee for his cavalier service. Into the blue box it goes. It's a nice custom in Israel to give flowers for Shabbat. On Fridays, David helps deliver bouquets on his bike. Fresh flowers give the Shabbat a special tone, setting the day of rest off from the other days. The income from his errands adds up to a tidy sum and helped David to become the blue box champ of Tel Aviv. Celebrities like Hannah are not left to their own devices. Amram came to take her to the celebration of Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel's Independence Day.
I wouldn't have missed this for anything. The parade of Israel's army is a sight to behold. Your heart beats as you see the youth of the country pass in review. We're mighty proud of our blue boxes and other little feats, but we're even prouder of these boys and girls who defend Israel with their very lives. Without their sacrifice and courage, all our work would come to nothing. Their courage created the state of Israel. Their courage, together with our continued efforts, will keep it alive and growing. The next day, Amram took me to Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. Dad said I should feel very humble here. Jews have prayed 2,000 years that Jerusalem be rebuilt, and now that prayer has been answered. I feel small strolling along on ground trodden by our ancient prophets. The newer part of the city is growing, and the Jewish National Fund helps in its development. I feel like a city father. Just in front of the Knesset, Israel's parliament, is a huge bronze menorah. It is a gift from members of the British Parliament to the Knesset of a sister democracy. The menorah is beautifully designed with 29 scenes from Jewish history dating back to the very beginning. In In the midst of Jerusalem is the head office of the Jewish National Fund, in Hebrew, the Keren Kayemet LeIsrael. Since I was a little girl, JNF has been part of my vocabulary, but it's quite different to see the very heart of that institution, the nerve center of its plans and ideas. Amran took me to the showplace of the building, an exact replica of the Viennese study of Theodor Herzl, the founder of the World Zionist Organization and the father of the Jewish state. A room full of dreams and visions which have now become reality. In this fitting environment, Amran gave me a short lesson in Blue Box history in his halting English.
This blue box stood on Theodor Herzl's writing desk. He never missed a chance to help in the practical development of the land of Israel. Before the official JNF box was designed, people had their own ideas about all sorts of collection devices. In South Russia, then the largest center of Jewry, GNF boxes were illegal, so they were sent to secret distribution places disguised as samovars. British Jewry's first contribution was made in a train. On the way home from the 5th Zionist Congress, it suddenly found out that a friend's shoes could stand the cleaning, and he started polishing. He demanded payment, though, for the JNF, long before David thought of the idea. Well, it is a long way from the first handmade collection devices to the mass-produced blue boxes of today. A long way from the early collections to the vast network of boxes in 1 million Jewish homes all over the world.
Many a family has established its own tradition. Putting coins into the blue box before the lighting of the candles is as much a part of the ritual as the blessing itself. The deed of redemption is an important part of the prayer for peace and good health. It is no exaggeration to say that the blue box is a vital member of this family, just as it is in numerous Jewish homes in big centers like New York, Paris, and London, and in outlying communities like Hong Kong and Singapore. The blue box is a link, sometimes the only link, with the land of Israel.
I can hardly wait to get started on our trip through the land. I want to see what the JNF has done with the contributions it has received all these years from all over the world, how it builds up the country and makes it green and inhabitable. We're quite a crowd, tourists speaking all sorts of languages, but somehow we manage to understand each other. And we understand this: the breathtaking views, the veiled colors, the age-old beauty of these hills. The lovely contours make you glad that the Jewish people never relinquished its historic claim to the Promised Land, but in our... Stopping in the Judean hills, the guide told us how this transformation has taken place and how it is still taking place every day. How difficult it was to clear the ground, to remove the boulders, to plow the sun-baked earth, and to prepare it for settlers to live on. We see a new village just established by immigrants. How lonely it looks on the hillside. The guide explains to us that these settlements face not only hardships of nature, but are exposed to many dangers. They are often exposed to unfriendly visitors from across the border. The settlers have a hard time guarding themselves. For their security, they need more villages, a whole chain of villages, But these villages cannot be established until more land has been reclaimed. Our guide tells us how the reclamation program goes on. One day the stones will give way to peanuts, and the boulders will yield to potatoes. The lovely terraces meant many man-hours of toil, but in return the fertile elements have been saved from erosion, and the naked hills got a blanket of living things. We found it fascinating watching this stone-strewn valley of death. Like the dry bones in the vision of Ezekiel, it takes on life. The fruit trees planted on soil redeemed by the JNF stand erect, like soldiers on parade.
In Israel, not one square inch of soil need lie in shame, the shame of neglect or wanton destruction. Other lands were too wild and could not be tamed, so they became sites for forests, and some of the hills are already green with woods. For the first time, Hannah recognized that the blue boxes all over the Jewish world and this great venture which she has seen here are two facets of one and the same thing. For at the same time you lift your hand to put some coins into the box, you lift another hand in Israel to clear another acre, to plow another furrow, to plant another tree, to drain another swamp. For the blue box is a bridge that spans the Jewish world with the land of Israel, that gives you, wherever you live, a concrete and personal stake in that land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth.